go. 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Good morning, good morning. Look at this, green swords. Nobody but green swords. 1, 2, 3. Somebody's enthusiastic. I won't see that again. Interesting. Good morning, gang. Good morning, good morning. More returns. Patreons, they don't update us with their address, you know. They don't think of it. Of course, this is common sense. Someone who's a Patreon supporter, they're there and their money is coming out of their account automatically. And if they move, they don't actually think to tell us, you know. You change your newspaper subscription, you know, you do whatever you have to do, your electricity and light and stuff. Nobody thinks to change this. So we get them back, the Patreon stuff. I've got another bunch on my desk. No problem, we have to write to them and go through it again. But Patreon chibis. So the mods are all clocking in. Click, click, click. This is on my desk from yesterday. I know I probably shouldn't tell you this because it just makes you sad. I know it's peeling results from yesterday. I couldn't wait to do this on the stream this morning. I wasn't able to wait to do this on the stream this morning. It would have been fun. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is for the 3rd print in next year's series. And Kawasaki-san, our carver in Kobe who is carving it, she sent the block back. The block arrived yesterday morning, and she's waiting for work. So within the course of a few hours, I had to do the color separations, draw them, paste them on, peel them, and send them down to her. And it would have been fun to do 1, 2, 3, 4 on the stream. You could maybe get a hint of what the picture is going to be like through what is left on the peel. So be it. I think it's a falcon. I'm not sure about my bird etymology or whatever it's called, ornithology. I would believe it's a falcon. The original isn't labeled, and how you tell the difference, I really don't know. I guess it's eyes and beak and stuff. Anyway, it is a raptor type of bird. The paper is out. Not only is it out, she's already working. She came when I was in the shower this morning. I got the paper out about 6 o'clock. I jumped in the shower at 6:30 and I hear gum, 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 gum up the steps. She's enthusiastic. No, she wants to start early. She comes before rush hour on the train and she goes home before the rush hour on the train. So, okay, you know what we're at today. You know what we're doing. It's going to be carving on the... Did we show what? I guess we showed the show. The previous color block, we've now got the key block finished. The black key block is done. The first of the color blocks is now ready in its initial stance, the brown block. And the next one has to be the green, I don't know, what are they called? I don't know, pine needles. Because I can't carve the sun or the sky or the water until the pine needle block is carved, so we know how to do the overlaps. So this one has to be next. We cleaned up the valleys. We cleaned it up on stream. We did it on stream. So what have we got today? There is, there's the carving work. There is a show and tell. It's a continuation of that huge package of stuff that I got last week, the Taisho era Senshafta. We'll have some more of them this morning. As far as news goes, there is news. Thanks to JB, John Becker, who's in here. John, that link that you sent me yesterday, can you pop that in here, please, today? John sent me a link. I don't know how he found this, or maybe it's a website he visits a lot. There's a place called Open Culture, which I knew about but hadn't really looked at. Anyway, they wrote a sort of review about our YouTube work. And I didn't know about it, but John sent it over yesterday. Happy birthday. Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. We don't talk about which one, but yeah. My hair's getting long. It's ready to go to Ome. So I need to go to Ome. I'll put the link in here. I think I prepared it. Just a sec. Oh, John's got it. Okay. And the first, I got to say, John, I don't know if did I write to you back? I can't remember what I did yesterday. It was just such a bizarre day. When I read that story, the open culture, the first sentence, I spewed my coffee. Just the first sentence is so much fun. So much fun. Ah, yeah, the toilet. Yes. I know. I had told the story talking about toilets, but after I saw the things that were linked yesterday, it clearly wasn't toilet. It was the sewer. It was the 8-page story that somebody linked with this hand coming out of the manhole. That's clearly it. I saw it. Oh my God, I remember this. So thank you. I don't remember who actually posted it or who found it. I should have thrown chocolate eggs yesterday, but thank you very much. That was exactly the story. That was the story. And actually, the story goes round and round. Somebody posted about that horror story that I remember having nightmares about when I was 9 or 10 years old. And then later on, John Becker sent me this link about open culture. After reading the story, I explored open culture a bit, and there's a link in there to old comic books online. So I followed that link, and remembering now what someone had posted in, I clicked in Dread End as a search term, and the story, the hand coming out of the manhole story, came up on open culture. So things came round and round. It was perfect. Well, thank you very much. Great birthday present yesterday. Great birthday yesterday. I mean, whatever, at this age, nobody thinks about birthday presents and stuff, but yesterday was fun. And I'm thinking about that comic book story. The reason why it must have affected my brother and I so much is because I hadn't remembered this. But the story is about this monster that comes out of the sewers during the night, and it specifically targets children in their beds. So classic stuff. Classic stuff. I would have been 9, I guess 9 or 10, and my brother would have been 6 or 7 or something. I don't know. So classic, just classic. Oh, chocolate eggs, yeah. So it came from my dad. It wasn't my mother. It was my dad that did this. That was his expression. That was his expression. Give that man. He used to gesture with his hands. Give that man, and he wiggled with his fingers. Give that man a chocolate egg. Yeah, my mother's here talking about the eggs we got. Of course, we did actually too. As that, we actually got chocolate eggs at Easter time. We weren't a religious family, but of course, even in that British culture, even non-religious families, they still did Christmas thing, and I guess Easter was part of it too. So I remember very much. It was a specific type of egg. My mother used to get the same one. I remember looking forward to it. It's a very tasty kind of chocolate. It was a milk chocolate, and inside the egg were individually wrapped candies. So yes, I remember my mother doing that, but whether that's any connection with the traditional British give that man a chocolate egg, I don't know, maybe. This is a hard little piece of wood, actually. I didn't think it was going to be that hard, but it is. It's quite hard. Actually, seeing my mother there, that reminds me, it reminds me about Facebook. Yesterday, I guess it was yesterday, perhaps the day before, my sister my sister posted something on Facebook a couple of days ago, and I guess my sister had been listening in here along with my mother on one of the Twitch chats some weeks ago, or maybe it was even some months ago. And there was a discussion of the time when what I was doing before I started printmaking. I was involved in music and I made guitars and stuff. This just slipped through the chat. Anyway, my sister remembered this and she looked up something. She tried to find the musician who purchased one of my guitars. This is back in the late 1960s or early 1970s, 70 or 71, something like that. So anyway, long story short, my sister started to look for this guy. She found him on Facebook. It's a Canadian musician, a guy called Ray Moga. Moga, M-O-G-A. I had tried to look him up before and didn't come across anything. But I'm not big on Facebook, and my sister is a Facebook wizard, I guess. So anyway, she found this guy on Facebook, Ray Moga. And she wrote a note to him, whatever you do on Facebook, can we be friends or something? And it turned out that he checked out her Facebook page, and he popped a couple of comments yesterday on a thing that my sister had posted. My sister had just posted, people pass around stupid videos and stuff like this. She had posted a video, and Ray Moga, the musician from my life 50 years ago, came and posted on it, and he talked about my dad and talked about me. And he mentions in there about the guitar that I made for him. And I am really excited about this because I sold him or gave him that guitar years and years and years ago, and that's it. It left my life. And I would die to see this now. And he has posted about this on Facebook. Where's a link here? Just a sec. Yeah, this is nothing to do with the post itself. My sister just posted some video. But in the comments below this video, there's comments from Ray Moga about this guitar that I made for him all these years ago. And we're talking, is it 50? It's 49 or 50 years ago. And I'm really, really, really hoping now, this was yesterday, so I'm really, really hoping now that he will reply to this. And if I can get a picture of that thing, I would love to see that. This is hard. It's actually a bit harder than it should be for a job like this, but whatever. Okay. I got my fingers crossed for a knife breakage here because this one's so hard. Ah, privacy settings. Soka. Ah, sorry about that. Okay. Ha 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 ha. Oh, Sherry's here. Soka. Sherry, good morning. Hello. Soka. "50 years ago." Oh, she's posted it. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Sherry. Thank you. Yeah, I remember the guitar. It was what I was making was classic guitars, classical guitars, whatever the correct term is these days. And I guess the first one I made was really, really not very good at all. I've still got it in the closet in Ome. It's clunky. It's made with the wood is all too heavy. I didn't plane it down delicately enough. I didn't know what I was doing. It was the first guitar I made. Then I made a couple more. The second one I sold, and then I guess Ray. I really don't remember. The one Ray's got is number 3 or number 4. It's not number 5. He must have asked, and he asked, can he have a cutaway classic? He was, a studio jazz player, so he needed to come up the fretboard more, and instead of going over top, he wanted to come in. So he asked for a cutaway classic. So I did. So I made him a classic guitar, pretty much standard classic guitar, except that it had a cutaway on the high string side. And it went out to him, and I moved away, and my life went in one direction, and that was that. And I've never met him since then, not at all. And he was a studio player in that scene then in Vancouver in the 1960s. And I think he moved away from Vancouver too. I don't know. I think I made 4. The 5th one I think I never got finished. The life moved on, and I went out to England, I guess. I don't remember even the sequence of stuff. I finished high school, went to university, dropped out. Yeah, I finished high school, dropped out of university, went back to live with my folks. My dad had a music store, a little local music store, teaching stuff and selling guitars in a semi-rural town near Vancouver in Canada. And there was an empty room upstairs in the building, so I got some tools together and made some guitars. I think I made 5 altogether. And I also started making furniture, furniture accessories like mirrors for wall hanging and stuff like that. So this would have been 1970. Why am I interested in Japanese traditional things? It's not a specific interest in Japanese traditional things. Dave's nose just led him all over the place during his younger years. Like we saw just now, I made guitars, tried it for a while. The pattern with me, when I was younger, was that pattern you just saw. Gee, that looks interesting. Think I can do that. I tried it, actually got sort of good at it, and then saw something else, and it was squirrel. Look over here. Oh, I think I'll try that. Do that, get sort of good at it. So Dave, the younger Dave, just sniffed around a whole bunch of different stuff. Sniffed around lots of different stuff, and the pattern was the same. Try something, read about it a little bit, kind of get good at it, and then get sidetracked by the next thing. This was flute playing, it was guitar making, it was composition. I won some prizes in composition. I went to London, I did a debut with the symphony orchestra over there playing a Mozart flute concerto. You get good at stuff, and then for the younger Dave, it's not enough to sit with it and get even better. The younger Dave just got sidetracked by something else all the time. And then as far as printmaking, that was just another one of those things. Gee, that looks kind of cool. I think I'll try that. And I did. And then it's either because the printmaking is so persuasive and worth doing more of, or it's because it was so difficult and I couldn't get good at it right away, or it was because I was just simply generally more mature by then. I don't know. But this is the one I ended up staying with out of all the different things that I tried and nibbled at and worked on. This one has stayed with me. Or no, I stayed with this one. So it wasn't that Dave has a specific interest in Japanese traditional culture. It was just the next thing that came in front of my eyes. Gee, that's kind of cool. Let's try that. It was just the next one in line. Yeah, you want to hear my compositions? I sort of do and I sort of don't. For me, this was all happening before the era of YouTube and video cameras and easy recording and stuff like this. So I've got all these stories as well as history behind me, but I don't have the things themselves. Like I don't even have a photograph of those guitars. Don't have any pictures. I don't have anything. And I'm half interested and half terrified. Those compositions, we'll put this in quotes, they're in boxes in Ome. But if you actually passed the sheets out to musicians and had them play them, oh my God, this was amateur stuff, of course, How many of the interests have I brought together in Mokuhankan? I don't know. Well, computer's part of it, of course. I mucked around with computer programming back in we saw that magazine a while ago. And that one's clearly part of it because I write the software here at Mokuhankan, so that's part of it. And the rest of it's just general life ability, I run this place here now because of the experiences I had. I spent all those years at a music store, and the guy who ran the music store, he understood social media. And this was in, when did he start that? And that's in the late 1960s going into the 70s. And the man, Bill Stonier, he understood social media. And of course, there was no such thing as social media, but the point being was, what I'm saying is, he understood that you had to encourage an interactive relationship with your customers, whereas you weren't just selling stuff to a bunch of people who had money in their pocket. you had to create relationships with these people, and it was an interactive relationship with these people. And if you did this, they would enjoy what you're doing, you would enjoy what they're doing, and together you'd move forward, and that would make your business even more successful. And in a sense, the lessons I learned when I was manager of that place, watching him do that and helping him do that, I've moved that idea forward in my own life, you know. Social media, 1969. I wasn't an adequate bass player. I was the world's worst bass player. I didn't get playing bass. I didn't understand it. I didn't grok it. So if you ask Dave to list his accomplishments over the years, playing that bass is not one that I would include there. I dabbled in it, but I was the wrong person at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong character. I was terrible, absolutely terrible at that. The flute thing, you're mentioning this. I'm missing most of this conversation, so I don't know what the details are. Someone's posting, almost every top-notch flute player I played with was a dude with a huge beard, no joke. This really strikes home to me. You know, of course, I had no beard in those days. But when I started flute, I was in grade 10 in high school. And the boys played saxophone and trumpet and trombone and bass, and the girls played oboe and flute and clarinet. I guess the clarinets were mixed. So they were all flute players. There was 6, 7, 8, 9 girls playing flute, and Dave is stuck in there. And the first day, Dave's at the bottom of the line. And what happened next turned me in a bit of a wrong direction. I got really good at it really quickly, so soon I was the best flute player in the school band. So the boy became good at it, the girls weren't all that good at it. And that built in my mind the idea that, yeah, the top flute players are all men, women, you know, whatever, they can't do this. This is, relax, this is Dave in 1970, 1971, 72, whatever. Okay, we go on, I get good at it, I get better at it. I leave the world of flute. My life goes around, changes to different things. I have nothing to do with flute anymore at all. My flutes are in the box in Ome. Haven't touched them since I came to Japan. But recently, there's been an interesting thing. I'll put BBC radio on, whatever. Pop into the BBC radio thing. This has been happening now for years. And there's somebody playing flute. And I don't really have any knowledge of the contemporary flute world anymore at all, but whatever. And I'll think, oh, this is X years ago, Dave. He's carving in Ome. Years of, oh, there's no guts to that sound. Give me a break. It's got to be one of those women or something. And of course, at the end of the thing, the BBC announcer broadcasts who it is, and it's a guy. So Dave says, oh, okay. Then it goes on, weeks go by, months go by, another one comes in. I think, oh, wow, what a beautiful, gorgeous, big, round sound. What a fabulous, that's got to be a guy. And the announcer comes on at the end, and it's Mrs. such and such and such. So the point I'm trying to say here is that the younger Dave, he integrated the idea that men are the good flute players and that women just dabble with it. This was the younger Dave. But as the years have gone by, of course, real life gets in the way. And almost all the evidence now that has come in through my ears over the past bunch of years has said that of course, it's absolutely nothing to do with gender. And there are any number of, and if you do the audio test, just listening to somebody play, of course you can't frickin' tell what gender they are. But it's an interesting reminder to us all that, you know, those things we pick up when we're young, which we don't think of as prejudices, the things we pick up when we're young that we just think of as sort of normal ideas, and we call them facts when we're younger. But it turns out they're not facts, they're prejudices. And in some cases, like this one, luckily, I was able to enough evidence over the subsequent years to finally blow this out of my mind. But clearly, I can't evade having to admit that. I used to think clearly that women couldn't play flute well and that men were the real good flute players. And in recent years, of course, I have learned that it makes absolutely no difference. So hopefully if some older dude like Dave can remember this, okay, what else, what other ideas in my mind that I think are facts are actually not facts, they are prejudices? I don't know. Anyway, for me, that particular example has been a very interesting experience, And now, if it comes now, if the BBC radio comes along this afternoon and plays something, I don't do this anymore. It's no point saying, does that sound like a man? Does that sound like a woman? I have finally learned that, of course, it doesn't make any difference. But it was an interesting journey there, how many years it took, But Galway, I don't know, now he must be gone now, I guess, I don't know, but Galway's sound, the classic European guy with a beard, but my God, he had the biggest, fattest, most humongous flute sound ever possible, incredible. That was the biggest takeaway for me. The year I spent in Britain in the early 70s, I was going to be a flute player. My parents said, okay, you want to be a flute player? Go to London. Bang. They bought me the one-way ticket to England, sent me over there. And I knocked on the door of William Bennett. He was, I guess, first principal flute with the, I don't know, he moved around. Was it the LSO at the time or Royal Philharmonic? I don't know. So anyway, I knocked on the door of William Bennett's door. And he said, come on in. And I hung out there for a while with... He used to be called Wibb, William Bennett, Wibb. I didn't become his student at all. I worked with him for a little bit in making some flutes, making a flute head joint and building bits of flutes, but I wasn't good enough. His students were the top kids, and they just blew me out of the room, It was the case of the colonial coming over from Canada thinking he was pretty good at this, and getting blown out of the room. Mr. Galway still having kicking, I guess. Good. Yeah, I met him too. So, I know. Yeah. So Sherry, the show. Met him when he came with Cleo Lane, and were you with me that day? I know, in the back room to see Kenny Clare. My sister's talking about that day. I know Tony Bennett was on tour with Cleo Lane. Who was with? Was it Tony Bennett, Cleo Lane, and they brought their own pianist and drummer with them. And the drummer they brought with them was I've forgotten his name. My God, it's my godfather. I've forgotten his name. Kenny Clare. This was a friend of my father's in their old band in the post-war Britain. My father was in a band called the Oscar Rabin Band, and the drummer was Kenny Clare. And they were good buddies. And when I was born, my dad asked Ken to be the godfather. So Ken Clare was my godfather. So when years go by, and Tony Bennett's visiting Vancouver they did a gig with Cleo Lane and James Galway. And we went backstage to see Kenny. Sherry, were you there? Were you with me that day? Bill Stonier had them over. Soka, that's right. It was at Bill's house. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. If only there'd been cameras and Facebooks and YouTubes in those days. My God. No, she didn't. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly right too. It was the musicians. She didn't come. She's off at her rich hotel and with all the rich people and stuff like that. Absolutely. I'd never met her. No, no. Now I've saved this bit for the last because this is a bit difficult. Not sure what to do here. This is a part where, let's get the master copy here. This is a part where there's tree trunk visible in and among the pine needles, and the other guy screwed it up. There's parts here that are white. They missed on the brown and the green. And then the sky, the cloud color is here, and the sky color, I say it's white, but actually it's probably sky at the back. So I have to make sure I don't have any funny white spots here. So what I'm going to do is overlap some of this. We hear the same thing all the time. The brown is already carved. There's a zigzag kind of branch pattern here. And now I have to figure out, there's the zigzag, what I've carved here in white, I left here in white. So this particular piece of brown is clear, so I can cut that off. That's clearly going to be brown. Okay, now the other one, the part that goes out here, it's there, it's brown with a little hook up and a thing that comes down. So it's here, it goes up with a hook up and a thing that comes down. So this is brown, so I can safely take it off this block. If you saw the last video, the one about the Tokaido prints, this is the place where these white things come up. You know, remember that white rock on that mountain in the Tokaido print? If I carve off too much on all the blocks, there's places that are left that are white. And it's real troublesome to go back later and fix them. Okay, I think we're done on this part of it. All around, all around, all around, all here, all here. That means it's time for... Someone's checking. Is there supposed to be the red from the sun in the tree? Is there supposed to be red from the sun in the tree? Well, the original eyes didn't do that. There's no red down here. Should there be red down there? It could have been, I guess, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep the red all in these two places. If we have a little tiny dollop of red down here, it's actually really difficult for the printer. You've got to give good firm pressure on this sun to make it be a good rich red. But if there's a little tiny place down here, that picks up too much pressure from the tool, and it could tear the paper. So technically for us as manufacturing this thing, it will be much more practical to do this if the red is only this area and there's nothing here. So I'm going to make sure this is simply green and brown. It couldn't be sky because the sun is supposed to be behind the sky to show. It can't possibly be sky, but it could be cloud up to that line, and everything else there should be green and brown. And I believe now we have it covered. Green comes right down to that branch. There is the branch. I think we're okay. I think there are no white spaces there. Actually, we will have a backup, because when I come to print the block for the sun, we will be using this line, and then I will be also printing from the pine needle block, and that will show me at that time if there's anything missing. Okay. How's our time? 8:42, so no problem. So let's do, and you can see the pattern we're going to do here. Normally now, if there were no stream going on, I would spend the next half hour or so going around all this noisily. What we'll do, because it's stream time, is I will do one portion of this block right now with the clearing noise, and then I'll switch to the quieter chisels. So instead of doing the whole thing right now, I will just do this corner. But again, in the morning, if you've got headphones on, be careful. We are going to make some noise. There's a limiter / compressor in place, so it shouldn't be too bad. But you have been warned. There's a bit of noise coming up. Okay, something else too. While I'm going to turn around here and make some noise here, something else I meant. I saw some news last night. I got to pop this. I got to pop you a little. I know this is the place in Japan that used to be called Rocket News. It's now called Sora News. They posted a fun little item yesterday. This is a fun little item on Sora News about Hayao Miyazaki. Here, I have something for you to read for a few minutes while I'm doing this. John knows what this is about. John saw me do this the other day, and he posted about this little line. We don't need it here, but whatever. Okay, here we go. Oh, earthquakes. Just a minute. Move the camera. Hey. Don't carve out the Kento. John, have you ever seen me do that, or just you know about this? Noisy, noisy coming now. Bigger chisel. Okay, that'll do for a start. Of course, we should do the whole thing, as I said, obviously. But let's stick with this for a moment so we can move on to the next step and people can see what happens. Okay, so as we pointed out many times, three-stage process. All these color blocks, three-stage process. First stage was the lines, cut the lines with the knife. It's all separated. Second stage, clear as much as you can of the wider waste with the big tools. Again, normally all the way around here. And third stage now, get in close and match up the two places. The sound outside is the garbage truck down the street picking up garbage from the Korean hot dog place. We've got the camera pointed the other direction today. So if a mistake was made and a bit of the pink was removed, would I have to start again? No. It could be, maybe even I've already missed the part of the pink area in the planning, is possible mistake number one. Possible mistake number two is, with my chisel here getting a bit too enthusiastic, I might tear away a part of the pink area. That's also possible. Been there, done that. There's a bunch of different ways to fix that. If I see it before we start test printing, I can come back to the same block, dig a hole, put a piece of wood in, glue it in, and carve it, and we're okay. If I see it after test printing has happened, sorry, if I see it before test printing happens, what I could do is when we are carving the next block, maybe the block for the sky or something, I can also sneak in a piece that we need on that block. There's lots and lots of ways around it. It's, at the end of the day, it's just pieces of wood. You can fix and glue and chop and cut and start again. There's no mistakes here that are deal killer mistakes, just troublesome mistakes. It is a crunchy block. It's not actually a nice piece of wood. It's hard, but it's got a very bad, I don't know what adjectives to describe it. It's got a very bad internal grain. It tears. The wood is tearing. Of course, any wood tears against the grain, but even with the grain, this wood is tearing. It's not pleasant wood at all. It'll do the job. It'll have a nice top surface that will print flat. It's okay. Lots of conversation. I'm sorry. Trying to catch some of it here. The grain's tearing. I mean, what can I say? In a normal piece of wood, you get a nice sharp tool. When you cut wood, it cuts smoothly, and you've got a smooth surface. This one isn't. It's cutting. There's rips and tears. If you had a real dull chisel, for example, same thing happens. If you've got a dull chisel and you try and carve something, the wood won't slice smoothly. It'll tear. And this one actually is tearing, even with nice, good, sharp chisels. Still, it tears. Even up here. It's not cutting smoothly. It doesn't really matter to the finished product here. The thing will take moisture and it'll release it. It will print properly. But it's unpleasant to deal with, to work with. Even the crunching sound is different. It's not so much a nice crunch as a tear. It's hard to find adjectives would have words to describe this. I don't know. All these differences in the wood, it's, how to trace it back, we don't know. When this particular tree was growing, either there was something to do with the way the water runoff on the mountain, or the soil, or the temperature, or some nearby trees. I haven't any idea what causes specific character of a specific piece of wood. And in the old days, there had been so many generations of communication between the wood suppliers and the carvers that it was all worked out. The wood suppliers knew what the carvers needed. They knew which trees to pick. They knew where to get them, when to harvest them, how long to season them. All those things were known from experience, and it's all gone now. How's our time? Oh, we're okay still. Good, good, good. The thing about the wood not being available anymore, one extra frustration for me in this is that I have the sense now that to a large degree this is my fault. I mean, it's not my fault that the world changed and people stopped buying woodblock prints in the 1980s and 1990s and 20s and stuff. But now that we are here and waking it up again and bringing hundreds of people into this and helping support it and move it forward, it's cool, but it's too late. If I had done what I do now 20 years earlier, there were still 2 woodblock planers. The supply chain was still in place from the mountains to the carving bench 20 years ago. If I'd have done the kind of PR and YouTubing and talking about this and let's make more prints, if I'd done this 20, 25 years ago, when the supply chain was still there, we could have maybe, this is all hypothetical, we could have maybe have maintained the supply chain. The big problem now is that we're doing this now, we're trying to bring it back, we're having fun doing it, there's lots of interest all around the world in it, but once it's gone and those people were retired and it was broken, and it was broken for, well, it's been broken, late 1990s is when it finally broke. And it can't be put back together again. You can't just pick up the pieces, it's all dissolved and gone. So it's frustrating for me, because I did think about it. When I finished the Poets series in 1998, what are you going to do next? There was a little bit of talk, because I had lots of publicity at that time. Media was all over me. There was a little bit of talk among the Craftsmen's Association in 1998. Let's make Dave the face of this thing. Let's put Dave in the seat at the top, because he's got such good PR. And he can help us, blah, 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 blah. And we could revive this thing. There was a few people who were trying to do this. There's a reason it didn't happen. For 2 reasons it didn't happen. Is because a lot of other people didn't want this. They didn't want the foreigner coming in and doing this. And Dave himself said, no, I can't do that. I didn't say I wasn't ready for it. I just said, no, 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 no. And that was, in retrospect now, that was maybe a mistake. If I had given that a try, got the publicity, got all these things going, and maybe that chain would never have broken. And maybe we would now be able to buy beautiful wood easily still. And maybe there would now be a dozen paper suppliers instead of 1.5 or 2. So, it's not my fault. Of course, it's not my fault. But I was actually in the right place at the right time. But I didn't know. I didn't know what was going to happen. Of course I didn't know. And it probably would have been a disaster anyway. If you'd have put me in the leadership of the thing, we would have had it would have been just fights everywhere. I'm like, you can't sell that shit. And they're like, who are you to tell me this is no good? So if, I would have been sort of the spokesman for the group, but without being able to control any of the quality or anything like that. And it would have been an untenable situation. I can be the spokesman for Mokuhankan, because at the end of the day, I'm the guy who sets the standards here. But it wouldn't have been tenable for me to be the spokesman and promoter of a group that was making stuff that I couldn't bear to look at. So it would never have worked anyway. But it's an alternative future, whatever, that could have. Okay, that corner's done. I'm not going to go back and hammer some more. Tell you what time is it now? We're too early for show and tell to show. We're still too early for show and tell. So let's So, given that I was born in Britain, what is the actual birthday overseas? Yeah. Let's sharpen these. We've got 10 minutes to fill here before show and tell. And as you heard that crunching, and I tried to show you how the wood slices when the chisels are sharp, these are not quite sharp enough. So let's do that. Let's sharpen these ice ski. We haven't done this on the stream very often at all, right? What's a good setup with the light here? Ettone. Do you know your time of birth? You'd have to ask my mother. She's here online. I don't know. I don't have any idea what time of day I was born. I know my daughter's birth times because both times I was in the room when my daughters were born, and in both occasions I'm taking pictures, and as soon as it's popped out and I take a picture of the clock. So I know my daughter's birth times, but I don't know mine. If my mother's still on the stream, ask her. Who manufactures your carving tools? There's no single answer to that. It's a mix of stuff that I've gathered together over the years. The blades, they're from all over the place. I've got them from all different shops in Tokyo. So no, I have no single answer. I'm sorry. We don't buy the tools as they are. The handles and the blades are separate. And speaking of that, actually, I'm not supposed to be here this morning. Yesterday, Aoyama-san and I, we had another meeting. We're almost ready. The blades and stuff for our own. Well, Sherry's got it. Okay, whatever. This is news to me. 7:30 p.m. in England. So be it. I didn't remember that. Thank you. I'll try and remember this. Anyway, so blades. So we were having a meeting yesterday with Aoyama-san, and he made an appointment this morning. He made 2 appointments, one for next Tuesday with one of the blade makers in Western Tokyo, and he made an appointment for this morning with a blade maker in Saitama that we're visiting. We've got some samples from them. Yes, this is the tools we showed a few weeks ago. I don't have them here now. Anyway, we had the tools we've been testing, and we have now a list of stuff we want to talk to them about. And he made an appointment for them this morning at 9 o'clock up in Saitama. And he left me a note last night. Okay, Dave, meet me at the train station. Let's go. And I had to write to him saying, Aoyama-san, I have a stream tomorrow. I can tell all those people I can not show up. So no, he changed the appointment to next week. Anyway, let's get some sharpening done. Okay, we're going to use a 1000 stone. These tools are not broken, they're not chipped, we don't have to cut a lot of metal off. This is going to be done in just an instant. This sharpening is going to happen in an instant because we're removing such a small amount of metal. Okay, here's the tool. It is a bull-nosed chisel, curved this way and curved this way. Unlike our carving knife, the main carving knife, the bevel on these is quote-unquote flat. For the most part, flat. You saw Ito-san's knife, that's different. Daily life carving tools, it's a flat back, hollow ground, and it's a flat bevel. But the bull-nosed chisels are different because the way you've seen me use it, they're moving with a rocking motion. These are rounded this way and rounded this way. What's going on the sharpening block? It's water and it's mud. The Nagara stone grinds down a bit and makes mud. And on a steel sharpening stone, you don't need it, but I like it. And here we go. I know my angle. I'm going to work with my elbow. So my elbow gives me the curve this way, and my hand gives me the roll this way. And the first stage, now I can tell now the parts that are scratched by the stone. before we start sharpening this, the bevels are polished. They're polished by the wood. They're super smooth and shiny. But now, because of the grit of the stone, the bevel has started to become not so shiny. And that'll tell me where I touched and where I didn't touch. And actually, it looks like it's okay. I got it right. Sometimes if I've got the angle wrong, part of this will still be smooth and shiny, untouched. It looks like I've got it right. I'm leaning, let's do slow motion. I'm starting in the middle flat, I lean left, and I'm leaning this thing, I'll exaggerate here, I'm leaning it this way. As I come back, I lean it this way. That gives me the curve across this thing, and it makes sure that the corners are rounded. If I lean too much, the corners will disappear, and we would have a completely round shape, which I don't want. So it's a gentle lean back, gentle lean over to this side. Very light pressure. And then, of course, my angle this way is what's controlling that. And that's good to go. So we put that aside and move on to the next one. We'll do them all in a group here. It's not finished. We'll come back to it. But anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll go down the sizes. That was the 6 millimeter. This is the 3 millimeter. And at this point too, something else. Rubbing my finger on the flat side, oops, here it catches. I can feel there is a, what do you call it when the metal is bent over at the top there? It's a burr. There's a burr on the back. If I don't feel the burr, I know that I've been too low and the edge isn't actually sharpened. But that burr tells me that I did indeed get to the edge. That's all it needs. There's such a small, tiny amount of metal being removed here. And now down to 1 millimeter. That's it. That's it for the front side. Now we flip over and go to the back. And this is now finger on the back of the blade, holding it absolutely flat. That's as far as I can go with my finger. In fact, I think let's do this. Let's get a piece here. Hang on a sec. Okay. This next bit is one of the things that Ito-san showed me. When you're doing the back side of the narrower chisels, with a wide chisel, the thing stays flat. It doesn't rock because there's enough surface area to stay flat on the stone. As you get to the narrower ones, it's difficult to keep them flat. They tend to move up, rock a little bit this way and this way and this way. So Ito-san showed me a trick. You get one of your piece of cherry that you just sliced off a moment ago. You put it on the back of your tool like this, and it acts as an outrigger. What's the word? Like a canoe. It's an outrigger, and it keeps the chisel flat on the stone as you move it side to side. Without that wood, there's no way on this planet that I would be able to smooth that side by side without rocking it. There's absolutely no way. And then same thing exactly now on the dressing stone. Very light pressure. Very, very, very light pressure. That's it. That's it. There's so little metal being removed, you know, that it's just no big deal. It's just over in an instant. Sharpening the bigger stuff, sharpening this one, this is a different story. This is a 10, 15, 20-minute job because there's so much metal that has to come off, both front and back. But with those little ones, literally, it's just a few strokes and bang, the metal's gone. You rub too much, you're going to lose it. Am I not using the mini metal? Yeah, I am. It's right here still. In fact, Aoyama-san said, please, he's got another one for me. He bought me a new one, and he wants me to test two of them. So I'm supposed to be doing this. In fact, this morning I should have used that. But in truth, this now, for me, this is too small to be able to do what I just did. I guess I could do it, stay on this one, but it would be a bit of a struggle. So for me, this is best for the main carving tool. But this is not so useful the larger the tool gets. But yes, we are using these as well. What were the numbers? The first stone I used, the metal one, was a 1000. I could have used a 4 if there had been chips on the edge, but I used a 1. And I have no idea what the number is on my other stone. It's super fine. 6, maybe 8, maybe, I have no idea. I don't know. It's so smooth. It just feels like a sheet of glass. It feels like marble. Okay, where are we? Where are we? Oh, 9:18. Show and tell time. Show and tell time. Okay, today's show and tell. It's a continuation of the stuff we've been looking at over the past few days. I told you before, I bought it. A bunch of Senshafta prints made in the late Taisho and early Showa period. And we have today another batch of these. We showed you the Tokaido prints. I know this batch. And this batch already, it's already online. So somebody who has a minute to spare, if you go to the Mokuhankan collection, go to the browsing mode, go to the newest page, and look for the series of Senshafta prints that I think it's called A Year in Asakusa. So these are online already, very, very high resolution, and somebody will pop a link up here any minute. And the title is, and this is funny, ignore the first two characters for a second here. The title of the print set is Asakusa Nenchu Gyoji. Nenchu, all year long Gyoji activities. But this maybe is Asa, but I can't get Kusa out of this at all. It looks sort of like Ko or Gaku, but I guess it's just an older writing of the kanji for Asakusa, because the title of this print set is clearly Asakusa Nenchu Gyoji. But I do not see how they get Kusa from that, but whatever. Actually, I do see how it could be, but I would never have guessed it. Someone's got it. John's got it. Thank you, John. Thank you, John. And what we have here is, I think it's a partial set of Senshafta prints. There is a title page announcing the calendar of events for the year in Asakusa, and then there are a list of the different kinds of events that we have in Asakusa. And the prints, of course, are going to show what some of these things are. Now, there's more events listed. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, there's 20 events listed in the title page, and I have only 10 prints. So whether this is a broken set or not, no idea. We'll find out. I've never seen any others, or as the time goes by, maybe more of them will show up. So this is the title page, carved and printed on as a single print. It's a double senshafta. The date is here for us to see. It's Taisho Jugo Nen Kugatsu, September in the 15th year of the Taisho era, Taisho 15. Taisho 15. I don't remember. It's about 100 years ago to show. 105 years ago. Someone's got it. Taisho 15, 1926. So not quite 100 years ago. 94 years ago. Let's have a look. Some events in the year in Asakusa. Now some of these I can identify matching with the text, with the index, and some I can't. One of them listed here is the famous episode where they do their archery from horses, Yabusame, which is the first one here in the calendar. It's listed here as being on the 5th day of January. And this is Yabusame. And we need to zoom in here because these are very, very nicely made prints. And this is the same item that you see in the website there, of course. So, is this the last year of Taisho? Now, for those of you who don't know what these are prints that were sponsored by a collector's group. These were not the kind of woodblock prints that were created by a publisher, put in the market for sale. Collectors groups of 100 guys, 150 guys, sometimes maybe 200 guys. They formed groups, they drank sake and had a bit of beer together, had meetings now and then, decided what kind of projects they would like. At some point, this particular group said, let's do a project about the year in Asakusa. They all put their money together, they threw in ideas, we want this, and they sent it out to a woodblock printing workshop, a carving printing workshop, to make 100 sets of the thing. And the sponsors' names appear on all of these prints. The style is called senshafda or senjafuda, and a normal senjafuda size is what you see there as 1. They grew out of the little name labels that people stuck on shrines. These guys have doubled them up to give more area for making attractive pictures. This one, I'm arguing with a couple of people here about what this is. In the list of activities, one of them listed is Setsubun. Setsubun in the 3rd day of February on that particular year. And we still do this in Asakusa and other places. Some sumo wrestlers get up on the stage there and they throw beans, mame, out to the audience. And it's, nani, I forget the exact chant, where Oni wa soto fukua uchi, bring good luck into the house and cast out the devils. But this is different. These are not beans they are throwing. And this is a priest, not a guest. And I think what they have got is he's got a bunch of what we would call mikuji. When you go to the temple, you put your dollar in the box and get your fortune telling, and oh my God, I'm going to die, or yes, I'll pass the exams. And these look like mikuji. He's throwing them out, and his assistant has got a big fan, and he's spreading them around. And the people waiting below are going to grab this thing coming out of the sky. But I have never seen or I've never heard of this happening here in Asakusa. Nowadays, it's just beans. So I don't know. I'm open to suggestions here. He's clearly a priest from the temple. This is clearly happening in the temple. These are small slips of paper. This guy is randomizing them, and they're falling down to the crowd below. But there's no such event that happens now in Asakusa like this. The crows are waiting to grab one. I can hear them, but not really. The door's closed, so I really can't hear much of the outside sounds here. But the outside, you're hearing more of the outside than I am. Would the woodblock printers make those fortunes back then, or would they be offset by then? Interesting question. Because, can I do this without screwing things up? Let me try turning the camera around here just for 1 second. Let me try turning the camera around. I'll probably screw this up. We received a couple of boxes the other day. Those 2 boxes, those 2 entire boxes are full of wood blocks for carving temple fortunes. We're saving them for a show and tell here. What have I done? Ow! It's good news and bad news about those wood blocks. There are, in the box, 98 of them. And temple fortunes normally come in sets of 100. The current set they're using at Sensoji Temple is 100. You put your 100 yen coin in, you shake the thing, you pull out number 76, you go to the drawer, you pull out fortune number 76. And we have a box of wood blocks to print 98, a set of 98 of these fortunes, coming to a woodblock print workshop near you. Okay, let's get through these things. Next one, again, this is an event that doesn't happen here also. There's an event on the list called Kusaichi, and it's some kind of market where they sell plants. And I don't know what they are selling here. Is this stuff for food? Is it for planting in your garden? Is it for decoration? I don't know. This is not an event that is part of our contemporary calendar here in Asakusa. There's a market, and it's something green. And I don't know any more about it than that. These people are buying stuff to take home. For what purpose? Decoration, food, garden. I don't know. I don't know. This one we do. In fact, the costumes are the same. This is from the Sanja Matsuri, which is here in Asakusa every May. Didn't happen this year, and it's probably not going to happen next year. There's a very specific kind of old costume. They're beating drums, a dancer. This still happens. This same event still happens, and the costumes are still quite similar. And this one's just listed as Sanja Matsuri. Of course, there is the Sanja Matsuri. This one also I don't recognize. I'm sorry. I have to get some research here and ask around. There's some kind of, it's a summer festival involving a lot of children and lamps on long poles. And again, I've been here now in Asakusa 7 years, and I'm quite familiar with the events that go on here during the year. And again, this is not something that's done anymore. So in the intervening 90 odd years since this set was made, the festivals, there's obviously been a reduction in the number of festivals. A lot of activities that used to be part of the routine are not here. This one also, I don't know. There is a date on the calendar. It's I think I'm going to take a flyer here. I guess this is related to the day in the religious calendar that's the birth of the Buddha. I don't know what part of the year it is, but there's a bunch of things related to it, and one of them is a cleaning thing where they clean their statues and stuff like that. So my flyer, my wild guess here is that this is an activity, kids helping up cleaning the thing related to the birth of the Buddha. I don't think it's the children's festival. The kids wouldn't be dressed like this if it was, and the kids wouldn't be doing this kind of activity if it was the kids' festival. That's my guess. That's only a guess on this. This one I do know. This is Tori no Ichi, which was last week. Here it was November the 2nd. There's 3 of them in November this year. And the elderly person there is holding a kumade rake, and the child has a very small kumade rake. And the cynical viewpoint on this festival is this is a scam by the temple and shrines. This is a shrine festival, not a temple festival. And it's a rake to bring you, of course, rake in money. And the deal is you go to the shrine in this Tori no Ichi festival and you buy a little rake. And it's supposed to help you bring in money. And the deal is The next year, when it comes around again, you go back there. The rake has been hanging on your wall for the whole year. You go back there again and say, thank you very much to the gods, and you exchange it, with money of course, for one that is a slightly bit larger. And that's the rule. The one you buy each year must be larger than the one you bought the year before. As I said, the cynical viewpoint is this is all a scam controlled by the shrine people. I mean, whatever. I'm not going to say much more about it. But come Toru-no-Ichi, didn't again this year because of the corona, it wasn't a public event. But on a normal Toru-no-Ichi day, we see people now staggering down the road under the weight of this giant rake that they have been forced to buy by tradition. This is back to that was at the shrine. This is now back to the temple. This is Emma, the king of Hades, and there are days devoted to him where people come and pray about this. This is nicely made too. This is a nicely made print. The background, yes, it fades to blue. This is a gradation, a blue faded gradation on the background here. This one too, I am really puzzled about this. I wrote an email to Sadako, my partner Sadako, last night about this, and she wrote back and said, what? And I'm like, what? This bridge is still here. It's a little stone bridge just to the west of Sensoji Temple. There's a garden in Sensoji Temple, and there's a koi pond, or nowadays, there's a koi pond underneath it with koi swimming back and forth. But these ladies, or this lady and her daughter, they are dumping eels into the koi pond. And I have no idea what is happening here. I've never heard of anything like this. I did a bit of trivial Googling to see what was going on. I can find nothing about this. This is going to need some investigation. Nowadays, around that koi pond, it's surrounded by signs. Don't feed the fish, because people keep throwing stuff in there. They're throwing what look like baby eels into the koi pond. You got me. I have no idea. No idea. No idea. No idea. We'll live and learn. As information goes out there, some people will find something. We'll see what it is. This is I forget the Japanese pronunciation. It's 10 evenings. I forget the pronunciation. I know. It's not Ju Yoru, Toyo. I don't remember the pronunciation. Take the kanji for 10 and then evenings. And there's a Buddhist festival or tradition where people for 10 nights in a row, they go and pray at the temple. And this is the print that is reflective of that festival. And what they've done here, they've printed first a black background, and then on top of that, they have printed with a metallic pigment. So the religious figures here are showing as a shiny character. I don't remember the pronunciation, I'm sorry. Anyway, there we are. There's 10 of the prints. I don't know if that is all they made or if there's actually 20 in the set. Time will tell. If I ever see more of these, we will know that it was a larger. If I see this for sale again with the same 10, that will probably tell us it was just a set of 10. If you want to see closer up, there's the link on the website. These are in the Mokuhankan collection, now photographed at very high resolution. Again, these were hobby things. They were put together by a collectives group. They wouldn't have been expensive. They were just commissioned and made for fun, but the production level is staggeringly high. I'm envious of them to be able to make prints of this quality for what was really a casual toss-off work. Nobody was famous here, unknown designers, unknown carvers and printers, just guys doing their daily work. But collectors who were, what's the word? Aesthetic enough to be able to command and ask for high quality work, willing to pay for it. Very, very nice stuff. Oh, someone's got it here. Ju Paku. This is the 10 Nights Festival. Thank you very much. Good. Someone's asking, Dave, may I volunteer to transcribe the text on the Tokaido Sen Shafuda? Any input from anybody is always welcome. You don't need my permission. Those prints are now on the collection website. If you have knowledge about the old poetry, if you can read the old calligraphy, go for it. Any input on here is absolutely, absolutely wonderful. You don't need my permission for any of this. I don't know who you are. If you need more information, send me an email. We'll talk about it. But for now, go to the website, the collection, look them up, have a go at it. Nobody needs my permission for any of this. One more, I got to get out of here. One more question. Did the Hasegawa fairy tale books get lesser in quality as they approach number 20? There's two things happened. The carving quality didn't change so much. But if you see the fairy tale books that we have now on our collection website, the craping quality dramatically fell off at the end of Meiji, moving into Taisho and then into Showa. And you can see it right now. On the collection website, there's now 5 Hasegawa books on there. And they're almost actually in order of age. The newest Hasegawa one that went up there last night, that's early Showa. And although it's on old blocks, the craping technology is awful. It's difficult to read the stuff. It's just once, twice, 3 times. That's good enough. Nobody cares. In the old days, the craping was little by little by little by little by little by little by little. More times, a little bit less each time. Anyway, you can see for yourself. They're all there with their dates. Go to the collection website, take a look at them, and compare. Anyway, I've got to get to work. Today's Thursday. I will be back here 2 more days from now. So again, John, thanks for the link. Thanks. There's 5 of those Hasegawa books. You can read them. The full text is there to read, front page to the last page. Drag them wide on your browser window and enjoy. We're finishing with the Japanese version of a devil. This is the King of Hell, Emma, the King of Hell. Nice way to finish off our stream today. I'll enjoy reading the chat later on. Thanks very much, guys. I'll see you again 2 more days, Saturday morning, 48 hours minus 90 minutes. See you then. Thanks again to everybody for helping out with this. Thanks to the mods. Chocolate eggs all over the place. Thanks, guys. Bye for now.